There we go. Welcome, everybody. Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening to anybody out there. My name is Margaret Pinard. I'm a historical fiction author and eclectic reader, and we're here on the channel today. I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought about it last night. I thought about it this morning, and there were so many other things going on. I'm just going to talk to you about some recent reading thoughts and recent media thoughts because I'm keeping a journal about them. And then I'm going to talk about journals. So that is the agenda for today. So hello. And I went live. Let's see. I remembered a banner. Oh, yes. I have a reminder. I tried to do this on Wednesday and failed. But the reminder is that I've got 7 books. They're all in ebook format. And they're all 75% off until my anniversary on Draft Digital. So still available, historical fiction and some fantasy if you're curious and want to see a booktuber's books. The links are all down in the description below. But what is this I spy? Catpaw, Windows decided now is a good time to stop working and update. Oh. Are you on your phone then? How are you tuning in? And Ven is waving from the millennial pause. If you haven't heard that phrase, it's something that I've seen in the last week on TikTok. For us millennials, it's just the idea that we're just looking up and thinking, what happened to like the regular way of life? Why is it totally effed up? So happy thoughts. The reading journal that I was mentioning, I'm going to talk to you about. It's just the last 2 pages. I started doing a commonplace book in one of my many like journals. This is a Clairefontaine journal that I got from France a long ago. Finally using it, decorating it, having a little fun. And I'm on numbers 19 through 26. That's the last bit. And I just, as I'm reading, I write down quotes of things. But I'm also using it for other media that I'm consuming and trying to like process and think about and relate because we like the serendipitous moments. So that's helping me do that. And I thought I'd just share the last 19 to 26. So 7, that's 7, right? 7 observations and then talk about journals because I've spent the last day and a half going from this journal, which is almost done. And I've had a lot of fun. There's been a lot of evolution here from this beginning to this type of end here. It's much more filled out. So we'll talk a little bit about that and then the new one that I'm setting up and who I'm looking to figure out how to set it up because it's hard to know what to put where and how it's going to be useful. So we'll go into that and maybe I'll ask you about your journals. Planner journals, not like deepest, darkest thoughts journals. Yeah, Kappa's on the phone. Okay, good. Ven says the existential dread is real. And then we've got literary layer. Hello. Good morning. And there's something satisfying about seeing a full journal. I've never completed one, but hope to complete my current one. It is hard. And, if you don't complete them, I usually end up taking the pages out and using them as like spare paper. I use them to junk journal with. I use them to make pockets or make decorations. So, there's always fun things going. Hey, Dee, welcome. It's Friday morning. Happy Friday. You must be done with your stream. Lovely to see you. So, reading observations. Let's see. Okay, so the first one is from a YouTube video. It's from the channel. This is how I write them, right? So I'll just be going through and reading what I wrote and then explaining my brain because it needs a little explanation. Boop, take that off. Just as a reminder as people are coming in. First one is number 19. I was searching for something to do with the phrase context collapse because I had this concept in my mind and I couldn't remember what the term was called. It was a new term, not unlike millennial pause. And I was trying to remember what it was because I remember reading an article or two about this phenomenon. And when I was like using different search terms to try to find it, I also went to the library to pick up a book on hold. And I asked the librarian, like, do you know what this is I'm trying to remember the name of? Which is a hard way to go about finding something. But the reference librarian, as they always are, was doing her best to be helpful and, Googled a few things that I had said and came up with the term context collapse. So I went back with that, and that was very helpful. So thank you, libraries. But one of the things I found was this series. I've watched many of them, but apparently I hadn't watched this one. It's called Offline. It's from Crooked Media, one of my favorite independent media companies. It was with Jon Favreau and Max. I can't remember Max's last name. And the guest was Gloria Mark. It's from 2025, but I just accessed it last month. It was about stress, burnout, executive dysfunction, self-interruption, because the offline theme for the series is that we are terminally online. So getting offline will bring some of our abilities back and get us less neurotic and, off kilter. Cognitive tank or resources. So basically, kind of like you talk about compassion and having a full cup. You can't pour from an empty cup. You need to fill your own cup. It's the same kind of thing with cognitive ability. And by cognitive, I don't have an exact definition, but it means like analysis and prefrontal cortex actions, like hard mental processes where you're really having to concentrate on things. Cognitive resources are finite, like kind of decision fatigue kind of issues. They talked about meta awareness, being like aware of how you're aware. That's kind of psychology talk as well. Or go on a walk. That was my commentary. I was looking for context collapsed material on Offline, but no, not with Cory Doctorow either. Okay, so here's a question. Have any of you seen any podcasts or read anything from Cory Doctorow? Now, he's the same name as E.L. Doctorow, the writer of Ragtime and many other 1980s historical and other thrillers, I think. I tried reading the beginning of Ragtime because I really liked the musical, and it is better than its source material. I did not get along with it. I think I read 20 pages maybe, and it's a long book. So E.L. Doctorow, not to be confused with Cory Doctorow. Cory Doctorow is a big nerd. He's Gen X, I think, and he's got glasses that he's always pushing up. And when he talks for one of these podcasts, he's like rapid fire, just throwing information. So he's one of those people who have their fingertips on facts and figures and can automatically access them. So he is not cognitively, impaired, let's say, for that. And he's very famous and on lots of shows these days because people are all talking about enshittification, and that is his coined term. Like someone else said shittification, Trevor Noah did, and he said enshittification, and that's the one that caught on. So anyway, Cory Doctorow and enshittification, and I think he's talked about context collapse, but I haven't seen it. So anyway, I haven't said what context collapse is. So I haven't figured out the source for this, but context, you know what context is. It means not just what is said, but the background to what is said that will help you understand the meaning in what is said, right? So in context, for example, we are people who live in different relationships. Humans live in relation. That is something that the internet and the billionaires cannot break us from. They're trying. So we have different contexts, and the collapse idea comes when we talk about the internet and surveillance and selling off pieces of the commons. So basically, if I had a talk with my teacher at school, at university, for example, and I was talking to the teacher about something really interesting in the class, maybe it was a spirituality class, right? So I was talking about different things about spirituality. And then, I'm also on a field hockey team. And with the field hockey team, I'm like a different sort of vibe. So I'm talking to them about, I haven't played field hockey in my life, so I don't know why I took that example. But, it's like locker room talk, and it's joking, and it's like taking the piss, and it's being a very sort of different sort of person, right? So there's two different contexts to the same person. It doesn't mean that they're lying. It just means that they are different things to different people depending on the context. But with the internet and with recordings and with things being on the internet recorded that never die, tweets that never get deleted because everything is somewhere on the internet, that sort of idea. There's a lot of opportunity for people to be confronted with the many sides of themselves and then accused of not being consistent or not being the best version of themselves according to someone's own interpretation, right? So the people that I've listened to this talk about, they're saying that that's dangerous because humans are naturally different people in different situations, and we should allow that and support it. And this like flattening of relationships where you can only be one thing is what is leading us to like branding ourselves, even if we're not a business. Yeah. And so I'm just sort of like noodling on that and chewing on it because it seems really interesting to me. What are the dangers and what are we giving up? Because I think we stumble into a lot of these things not knowing like what we're doing. So now that people are sort of sounding the alarm, I think it behooves us to listen to each other's stories and see if we can see parallels or commonalities where we're losing something or we want something that used to be true when we had more context, if that makes any sense. So, okay, let me catch up here. Didi says, I have to update my reading journal too. Friday Reads is on hiatus. Oh, right. It's August. Yes, that's right. It's vacation month. That's cool. Cat Paw said, was hoping to squeeze 2 years into one, but I see I'll need to add some more pages. Yeah. So I have typically done like a year and a half in these. I started in July, I guess a year and a month. Because a year and 2 months. So 14 months in this one. But I think it's just going to be a year, if that, because I'm putting a lot of reflection pages in. It's the same model. It's the Leuchtturm. 1917. But it's funny, the one from this year has tear off pages. It's perforated, I think, or maybe that's just at the back. What? I know I saw some that were perforated. Anyway, the new one is not, which is a little bit of a bummer. Literary Lear, I have been wanting to read Cory Doctorow, but haven't yet. Yeah, I started his book about all information wants to be free as an audiobook. I don't get along with his voice. He's too haranguey, but he's very smart. Like he's got really good points. I would prefer to read it rather than listen. Ben says, I've seen clips with him and not listened to a full pod with them yet. Okay. Yeah, he did a pretty interesting one with Trevor Noah. He talks a lot. He doesn't let Trevor or Eugene get much airtime, but that's his style. Literally, he has some other tech fiction that sounds interesting. Yeah, I guess he does write fiction too. Yeah, there you go. Interesting to explore both for sure. What a useful word. I was talking to a friend about that, but couldn't find a word for it. I think you're talking about context collapse, or are you talking about enshittification? I don't remember. I just breezed by all these chat comments. Hit the like button. Thank you, Didi. Gareth is here. I enjoyed a Doctorow book a few years back. It was about cyber counterculture. Oh, okay. That's a good one. All right, I could take this down. Cyber counterculture. Yeah, he's just, I think he's on the edge of Gen X and millennial, but he's just been on his game since the beginning of like the transformation and sort of calling ahead what's going to be happening or what could happen. Okay. Yeah, the term. Good. I'm glad it's helpful. So that was really interesting. And again, as I said, still noodling on that. But I put that aside. The next one, number 20, I have how to write about thinking if not finished the book yet. So I put this down because number 20, I was going to write about this, but I'm like, I'm not done. And it's taken me forever, although I have just finished this book. 21 Things You May Not Know About the Indian Act by Bob Joseph. It's pretty thin. I thought it was going to take longer because I thought the section 2 was going to be longer, but there's 3 appendices. So I finished quicker than I thought. Helping Canadians make reconciliation with Indigenous peoples a reality. And the reason it was taking me so long is because the 21 things were pretty short. They're only 2 to 3 pages each, sort of a snippet of the act. And okay, the book was gonna, I thought the pile was gonna completely fall over. A snippet that represents like a whole policy. So they're all really awful. It's like reading about war crimes, because it is war crimes. Encouraged voluntary and enforced enfranchisement. Created reserves. There's the right off the bat. Denied women's status, so changed the social cultural structuring. Imposed the elected chief and band council system, so imposed the system of government on a whole culture that already had their own. Renamed individuals with European names. Declared potlatch and other cultural ceremonies illegal. So interesting book, not too long. The section 2 about solutions is pretty short. It's more like a, please let's do this instead of this. And, you know, I think Bob Joseph, the author, is framing the fact that a lot of people were afraid that just canning the Indian Act in Canada would negate all the obligations that the Canadian government had to treaty Indians and other tribes and nations. And it's from 2018, so it's probably progressed since then. But what they're saying is we can the Indian Act because there's a lot of crap in it, a lot of really bad stuff, including residential schools, which is highlighted as the worst of the worst of the policies, while still affirming that the history of Canada and its Indigenous peoples is intertwined, and there's obligations and there's reparations, frankly, that sort of thing. So it's not very detailed on the solutions end, but it does detail the wounds, what's the word I'm looking for, harms, injuries that were done to the various groups, bands, nations, and why I feel like the book is trying to give reasons why Indigenous nations are still struggling. It's kind of like, I think I know that anyway. Maybe other people don't know that. So my question was, how do you write about thinking about a book if you're not finished with it yet? So I just put it in there, and I don't have anything else from that book before I finished it. So I may, when I review it, go through the tabs and see if there's anything more I want to glean that were like little scintillating thoughts. But the only thing I wrote down was how arrogant the Europeans had to be to grab power and dismiss entire civilizations of culture, grinding them into poverty and despair. Pretty general summation of the book. It's hard to grapple with arrogance. So it can be hard to see it in yourself, but it can also be hard to comprehend how people feel so entitled in society and throughout history. Hey, Canadians. I see you. Okay, so number 21. This was from another book that I have not finished called Taking on the Trust. It started out well. I mean, I had a good chunk underneath it. It's not very fiery. It's written by Steve Weinberg, the epic battle of Ida Tarbell and John D. Rockefeller, how an investigative journalist brought down Standard Oil. And the interesting thing is, like, it's a double biography. It's not really about John D. Rockefeller alone. It's about his growing up and how his formative years so far compared with Ida Tarbell's, because Ida Tarbell is the one who went after Standard Oil and like made him dismantle a lot of things and brought us to antitrust legislation. So my quote on that was, this is a good one. Okay, here's the excerpt. William Wright, who published an 1865 guidebook, The Oil Regions of Pennsylvania, which is where Ida Tarbell grew up, served as one of the few before Tarbell who sounded alarms. This is a quote from his writing. The influx of capital has been so unprecedented that some of its people may have imagined they can snap their fingers at the natural laws, I emphasis. But these will, in the end, assuredly vindicate themselves, my emphasis. So, Emphasis mine, page 58. Yeah, I just did it in capitals. I put bells. I mean, yeah. You think you can snap your fingers at natural laws. That's a great quote for Climathon. So 20 minutes in, and I just mentioned Climathon. I'm keeping an eye on that. Every road leads back to climate change and Climathon. So, yeah, basically, this was talking about the oil fields, the oil boom in Pennsylvania in the early years. They didn't know the harms that it would do, of course, in 1900 in the 1890s. But as with any boom, there were unsavory characters. There were speculators. There were people taking advantage. There were vast changes in fortune, whether positive or negative. And I don't think there was much of a formal safety net. There may have been cultural safety nets, you know, immigrants and other communities of families that were helping each other. But yeah, a lot of lives destroyed and changed, and that was the beginning of the fossil fuel journey. So yeah, crazy. Snap their fingers at the natural laws. Oh, that just brings other people today in mind. I'm sure you can guess. Number 22, this is a video. It's from Strong Towns 101, Unit 4. Okay, so you may not know, I may not have mentioned this explicitly, but I am assisté. I'm attending meetings. I don't really call it volunteering. It is a volunteer organization. It's called Strong Towns. They have a national organization, and then they also have local chapters. I think the national organization might be an official nonprofit, and then the local chapters are all volunteer. It's basically an organization that promotes making your town better with your neighbors. So getting to know your neighbors, getting to know the issues, and then moving to make things happen, whether that's at local government meetings or just like putting things out on the street, or, you know, painting the streets, or putting up a barrier, things that will change your neighborhood. So whether that's for safety reasons, whether that's for neighborliness reasons, trying to make things work better for us, like air pollution wise and bike fatality wise and stuff like that. So I got really interested in this last year and started going to meetings. There's some really great people. A lot of them are in local government. A lot of them are concerned with public transit options and shifting from cars to bikes. I'm not a bike person. I'm a foot person, but you know, we'll see how that runs out. And a lot of them are like architects or people who work on developing new housing, which is interesting because that's a big issue. One of the things they did recently was have a contest for architecture designs for a single stair building. So basically you had a given set of criteria, like where is it, how many people, and they were tasked with satisfying all these criteria with a single stair building. Now, this is something that is possible, illegal in some urban areas and not in others, because I think, when was it, 1880s Chicago, there was some fire issue. I think it was Chicago area, and the building had a fire on like the third floor, and because there was only one stairway in the middle of the building, that got engulfed in flames, and so everyone above that floor died. And so they put in these laws that were like, you can't have single stairs, you have to have more than one stairwell. Well, we've developed a lot of other safety measures besides stairwells, you know, ceiling and vacuum ducts and all this kinds of things for fire safety that mean that the single stairwell is not like a death trap today, but it has stopped a lot of development going forward because it limits developments of new housing to 3 floors or below with single stairs. And if you want to do 4, you have to do double, which means you have like double the like accessories basically, and that makes it a whole bunch more expensive. So if you want to build denser housing for infill development, you basically incur a much bigger cost. And so it's really interesting because like I think Portland has this rule, and it's why we haven't gotten a lot of the kind of housing that we need, perhaps. And so it was sort of stimulating people imagining different ways of making housing and incentivizing builders to build different housing. So stuff like that. is like the Strong Towns way, and they've got some videos on YouTube. They've got open meetings. You can always see if there's one in your town and attend. So I watched Unit 4, and here's what jumped out at me: the trade-off between efficiency and resilience. So basically, this was like pinging with something else I was reading or experiencing at the time. That is, I think everyone can agree, we have a society, at least in America, that is way, way, way unbalanced, leaning on the, how would I say this? Unbalanced in favor of efficiency, right? So sometimes that's a good thing. Energy efficiency is a good thing because we're wasting less of our resources. But sometimes efficiency, meaning wasting the least or cutting it the closest, does not allow us to address other goals like resilience. So when I was looking at Unit 4, I can't remember exactly. I only wrote one. I only wrote one line about this. But if it was roads or buildings, or I'm trying to remember what it might have been. Anyway, whatever it was, they were planning for the greatest efficiency, but that meant that everything was one certain way, which was the most calculated to satisfy the criteria. And when something happened, it's kind of like monocropping. That's the metaphor maybe I was going for. When you have one of the exact genetically same crop and you have thousands of acres growing it, if you have one thing go wrong with that crop, you are not resilient. So you may be efficient because you have the exact right crop for the exact right fertilizer and the exact right timing on the watering. But if you have a new pest that really likes that one crop, then you're done. You don't have anything to fall back on because you don't have a diversified portfolio of the crop. So when we make efficiency a sort of idol to worship in our society, so-called, is it really efficiency if you're open, if you're vulnerable to so much because you're being inflexible? That was like my little scintillating, that sounds like I'm bragging, a scintillation, maybe like a little spark of an idea that I had that I wrote down, because I think no one can argue with efficiency, but we really should be able to, because the climate changing and the needs for adaptation really require that we have multiple off-ramps, multiple potentials, multiple experiments going at once to be resilient. Because if one of them doesn't work, we can fall back on the others. So that is my viewpoint. And I don't know if anyone would agree with that. Diane, remember the stream because I just read a submission opening that's focused on climate. It includes a dinner and reading to the winners in Oregon. A submission opening. What does that mean? A submission opening. Are you grading grant proposals? A submission opening. I'm confused. I need a little bit more information there. Sorry, but that's very cool. Climate, and then dinner and reading in Oregon. Wednesday and Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific. Gareth just looked it up. The book that he was reading by Dr. was called Little Brother, and it's about cyber counterculture. It's not about the bears. Okay. Brother Bear. Hi, Julie. Julie's alarm must have malfunctioned. Don't even worry about it. We shall band together to extend things. Vincent, I saw someone talking about the one crop issues specifically around bananas very, very recently. Interesting. I know bananas, like Chiquita bananas. I know there's been one type of banana for a long time. So there must have been a shock 30 years ago or something that brought this to people's attention. But I don't know about anything that's happened recently. So maybe they didn't act on the shock, and maybe they just kept growing that one type of Chiquita banana. I don't know. They're writing a submission for written pieces. A submission opening. Oh, it was opening, not an opening. Okay. That's focused. Okay, gotcha. Gerunds? Is that a gerund? Okay. So Strong Towns is great as an organization. Check it out in your town, see if it's available, and check out the videos that they have on YouTube if you're curious about how every town in the second half that developed in the second half of the 20th century is basically a Ponzi scheme. It's true. Look it up. All right, so number 23, end of the first page, kaleidoscope of YouTube videos. Let's see. A kaleidoscope. What did I mean by that? So I listened to the Daily Beans from Monday. Daily Beans is a news podcast Monday through Friday put out by MSW Media, which stands for Mueller, She Wrote. It's Allison Gill. It was talking about Mark Quain again, false voter fraud claims, and voter suppression efforts. And this is after I came back from the backpacking trip. So I was out in nature and I forgot, there were 2 more ICE-assisted murders in the wild. So I was just reminding myself that is going on in the world while I'm noting things, because I may come back to this in a year, in 10 years, who knows? Cryptocurrency guest. That is not attached to anything. Oh no, that's part of the kaleidoscope. Okay, so Daily Beans and then a cryptocurrency guest. I watched the cryptocurrency guest, and it was basically about why cryptocurrency is still a fraud. Like, I tried to understand at the beginning, blockchain sounded promising, but cryptocurrency is just money laundering at this point. So, all right, number 24. Ooh, this is one I've recommended recently to others. Trevor Noah's podcast, What Now? It's a good series. There's a few that I have not really gelled with, so I bail out. But this one was really good. Asma Khan. So I don't know if you've heard of her. You may have not if you are not British. Asma Khan is a British chef. She's been on some chef show in Britain, but she also has a very successful restaurant in London called Darjeeling Limited? Express? I can't remember which one's the movie, which one's the restaurant. And she's known for her food, but she's also talking politics. So she's from the Bengal region of India, and she's actually a princess. So she's come to study and then stayed in the UK and got married. The interview ranges from a lot of different things in her life, but it was less about food because Trevor Noah is not a food podcast. It was more about, what made her choose certain things and what has been the important things in her life. And one of the bigger things she said was a biblioserendipity moment with another book that I'm currently reading, which I didn't bring over here. Okay, so she talked about renovating her kitchen because that's what it was. So her kitchen, you can't see the people making the food. And her point was that if you can't see the people making your food, it's impersonal. What you want is to be able to have an open kitchen so that people can see who's making the food for them, because that is more of a understanding. It's more of a relationship. It's more of a value placed on the act of making the food. I thought, definitely agree 100%. But the way it chimed with Sacred Economics by Charles Eisenstein that I'm reading at the moment was that he talks about in the very first chapter the gift economy. And here is Asma Khan talking about the cooking of food as a gift, right? And so we should be appreciating it as such. I thought that was really cool. The gift is sacred, and it makes the relationship visible. So Sacred Economics is basically we need to transform the system because money makes everything impersonal, makes more and more things. Like it used to be just crops and labor, but now it's deliveries and water and the time, the minutes of your life, all sorts of things that used to just be things we did on our own. And one of the things I just read actually is, it was almost creepy. So I just read a passage in Sacred Economics where he's talking about seeing it play out in his kids playing Pokemon, some game or whatever. And the game is about kids going out to explore, and they find new creatures and they learn what their skills are, and then they sort of invent invent things and play around and invent new worlds, basically. And he's like, this is a game that is paid for that kids used to do on their own. Like when I was a kid, I went out and explored with my friends and discovered new things and figured out what their abilities were. And you're like, and now we pay to do this on a screen because we've made everyone scared to go out and interact with the world and other people. And I went on TikTok or YouTube and I saw someone talking or an advertisement for a Pokemon thing. And I was looking at it going, oh yeah, like Farmville, or it was basically Pokemon plus Farmville. I thought, God, I know it's a turn your brain off relaxing activity for many people who have very busy online lives, but I really wish we could still access the place in our human brains where we actually did explore outside and with other people and with wonder and awe and adventures, rather than having it in a safe little video game patch. You know, does anyone else feel that, or is that me being very ancient? Aaron, read a book. Hello, welcome. I worked in an open kitchen once, but it just means the customers could see us all fighting and throwing things at each other. Okay, so Asma Khan actually talks about how that's like toxic male chef Gordon Ramsay energy. That is not what happens in her kitchen. So maybe you need to get yourself a new head chef. Because yeah, it's about it's a much more symbiotic, cooperational relationship. And she has an all-women kitchen. So yeah, it's about management. Gareth says, I went to a small restaurant in Croatia where they cooked in front of you and you eat in front of them, and it felt uncomfortable and awkward. Oh, well, if they're just sitting there staring at you, yeah, I can see that. But you know, when I've been in open kitchen situations, sometimes people will talk to you as they're working, and then they're on the next order when you're eating. So it's not like a high pressure, awkward environment. It just, they're doing magic, because I can't imagine doing the things that they're doing so quick or so well, right? And I'm just in awe and delighted, and I don't think they're watching me eat. If anyone is, like, if they haven't been deadened to like the customer reactions, then they may enjoy it, or they may get ticked off or whatever. I don't know. That's a bummer. Han says, it's the cultural shift. Maybe apply it to your home. The one cooking deserves to be seen rather than shielded away. It's part of the experience. Yeah. Yeah. Relationship. Gifts in relationship rather than impersonal. That's the thought I got from Margaret's discussion. Not necessarily my own view. I hadn't thought on it. My house is divided up and older. Oh, okay. I don't mean like all open plan stuff is better, of course. I like little rooms too. I think that can be cozier. But like, if you can have someone in there working with you in the kitchen while you're cooking, or talking with you, or helping, that is a relational process rather than a service oriented process. And the service being impersonal and, you know, unpaid labor or paid labor in the case of a restaurant. Aaron says, we had two chefs who were twins and they would throw entire pans of sauce at each other. Oh, that sounds like a citation from the health department. I forget what you call that there. Yeah, wow, that's dangerous. I ordered black risotto, which was interesting. Croatia. I'm guessing it's squid ink risotto. That sounds lovely. Aaron says, I've been watching this one who goes to restaurants in Korea, and a lot of them are just basically people's houses. You just sit in the middle. Oh, how funny. Huh. I wonder if I've seen something else like that. No, it would be more formalized. So that's really cool. If you remember the name, if it's a channel or something that you want to drop in the chat, I'd be very curious about that, because that sounds really neat. Tasman's here. Tasmite too. Hello, hello. It is 39. So 20 minutes ago, I mentioned Climathon. I clocked the mention on this one because I thought it was funny. They threw sauce at each other. Fantastic to enter without any context. And we've hit the buzzer word for this stream, which is context as well. That's awesome. Oh boy. It's great. This is why off the cuff would work, because everyone is delighted with everyone's contribution. I love it. speaking of why it's off the cuff, though, I just wanted to point out to people in the description, there's very little. Oh, I didn't put the links in there for this one. Here, I'll do that right now. Right meow. But I did put the intro, which is, I don't know, I couldn't think of a better topic, something better, because there's smoke. Although it's going down, it's only unhealthy for sensitive populations now. Although the warning is still up until the end of Friday today. The fires, the heat, we still have like 90-degree heat and I have no AC. So I'm like torn between the heat and the smoke. And what do I do? I'm opting for the heat abatement rather than the smoke. I figure I'm okay with the smoke. The ants are still trying to attack. I had a little moat for the cat bowl, and I thought, it's been a week. I don't need to worry about it anymore. The traps must have worked. So I took it away, and not 4 hours later, there was a whole line of another 100 ants fucking running right in to the cat dish. And I was like, these motherfuckers. I was so angry. It went straight into the new feature of the stressor log in my journal. So ants, protest peas. We're working on the cat peeing on things when I'm away from the apartment for too long. I'm calling that protest peas. It's been like 3 days now. I'm trying to go for a week before I let him in the bedroom overnight when I can't supervise. Fingers crossed. And the water turned off. And the water turned off is just temporary. Someone is working on the plumbing 2 floors below for a renovation. So we got notified and I prepared. But still, like, the water's turned off on a day with smoke and heat. And anyway, that's why I was like, I can't do anything. I can't think about anything. So anyway, protest pea. Yeah, that's Bean's contribution. I should be at daughter's silent book club, but she moved it to the beach and didn't tell me. Oops. I told her I was going about 2 hours ago. Oh, and you didn't go? She moved it to the beach and didn't tell me. I have so many ants too for weeks and nothing works. It's so irritating. Like I put my sugar, I put my honey in the fridge, and like the honey just does not work when it comes out of the fridge. What else? I've tried like herbs, spices, traps, flames, citronella. I tried like so many things around the edges and the doors and stuff where they come in, but like it's all one side of the apartment. It's not the side that I share with the other apartment. So I don't understand. I came across a whole line of ants out in the parking lot. It was near a speed bump. It was right next to a speed bump, and they were going from like the fire hydrant to like my side of the sidewalk in the parking lot. I was like, where are they coming from? Like, it's like a whole hillside of ants. Amora does protest peas too, specifically into shoes. Yes, exactly. I have a pair of shoes that I loved that the soles are pretty much busted, but I was keeping them for house shoes just around the house, out in the balcony, out to the mailbox. And they got peed in. And I have tried so many things to get rid of it, and it still smells. So they're just out by the front door. I'm trying to figure out how to rescue them. I don't want to give them up. They're so pretty. Yeah, it's supposed to come back at 2. We'll see. What's expensive? Water? Ants. Cat paw feels me on the ants. Hi, Leslie. What did you come in on? Happy Friday. My water's on, but it's not suitable to drink or cook with. Oh boy. Wait, wasn't that like 2 months ago you said that? Are you still like on a boil water advisory, or are they just denying that it's unsafe? So shady. Hi, Mike. Riffraff reads. Hi, Margaret and gang. Or Gunug. Late as usual, ants have feelings too. Diane says, okay, the thing that works best for me, barkeeper's friend, baking soda. Along where they walk, they don't come back. What did I try? I think I did the surface cleaner for the bathtub, which is essentially the same as barkeeper's friend. Along where they walk. I did it outside, and it's blown mostly away, so maybe I'll do that again. New thing I tried this spring. Okay, excellent. Thank you for the suggestion. Borax with sugar and set a trap. You'll be overrun for like 2 days, then gone. I suppose I could always set the trap on the patio so that it doesn't come in. Oh, yes. Borax is the same as barkeepers, I think. Is it? Interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't add sugar. The East Coast is what's expensive. The water? No, I'm missing it. Tan says, the water thing isn't going to be fixed anytime soon. I can fix it myself at the house with filters. Boiling doesn't work. Poor people just drink it. I'm poor people. Ugh. Yeah, filters. Filter on the faucet, you mean? Or filter like in a pitcher. Ooh, that's a lot to deal with. Seeing a line of ants in my home is gross. Yeah. I'm not grossed out by it because they're just going for the cat food. I'm not eating the cat food. But I do get furious. I do get like flashes of fury that they will not leave me alone, which is kind of silly. What happened was what was considered safe. The water is the same as it had been. I don't know the rest. Oh, something to take up with the water company. Faucet, pitcher, or whole house filters. Oh, okay. Or what people are doing locally. I'm assuming the whole house filter is the most expensive. Boo. All right, we got fairly off base because I felt obliged to visit the reason for the off-the-cuff stream. We will now continue with our not regularly, planned program today. So Asma Khan, it was great interview on Trevor Noah's channel. Number 25 was an Indivisible webinar on election protection. So if you don't know, Indivisible is an organization, one of like 3 to 5 that have been the main organizers for political protest in Trump and Biden years. And I really like them. I like their approach. I like their energy. I like their organizing efficacy, not efficiency. We talked about that earlier. They had someone from Protect Democracy United called Corey Dukes, who's pretty good. And he was he had a phrase that was basically when we say flood the zone, the equivalent or like a similar strategy is deceive, disrupt, deny. And so we can't let them get away with any of those steps. I thought that was good. Alliteration is always good for remembering. Corey Dukes also said they fear our joy. So if we can do all this organizing and protection of our communities in a joyful way, it's just hard, that's going to take them down that much faster, which I liked. They had some strategy from Andrew O'Neill, which I just sort of detailed. And then they had a toolkit for protecting the vote. So one of the big questions I wanted to answer was, in Oregon, we all mail-in vote. There's no precincts. So what do you do to witness the election? And you can witness ballots being cured or something. They didn't go into particulars because they were doing a national call, but there's further trainings that are going to be more regional. They talked about checking your updated laws, checking your registration. So I have the tab open where I'm going to check my registration just in case. But they also said there were, I can't remember the name that they used, but battleground states is a name. And they had a version of that, which was Michigan, Ohio, Alaska, Texas, Iowa, North Carolina, and Georgia, where they were doing extra special activities. So you were supposed to sign up for that, which I didn't do, obviously, because I don't live there. But that's great. I just think, like strong towns, getting together with people who have energy and ideas and can do things together to make it less scary is the way to go. So Indivisible, if you haven't heard of them yet, check them out. Let's see. Number 26, the last one here, is a YouTube video. It's from Justine Underhill, and it's related to strong towns because I think that's how I found her. She is, I think, on the city council in Falls Church. I've been to Falls Church. It's in Virginia. It's right outside DC. She had a video on downtowns subsidizing suburbs, and this actually led to a fun discussion with my mom. So this is a concept that maybe you think sounds intuitively untrue, because here's the lay of the land in the US, if you don't know. We have inner cities, and I think that phrase itself conjures up ideas of, violence and poverty and instability. And then we have suburbs. So we have inner city boundaries, and then suburbs. And usually suburbs have bigger lots, richer people, fancier things. And the thing is, poorer people living in the center, richer people living on the fringe is infuriatingly backward. So here's why. When you talk about city services, which we all pay taxes towards, we're talking about water, tie-in. We're talking about electricity. We're talking about gas, natural gas, if you have that. I don't. We're talking about internet wires. What else? Sewer, right? Those are the big ones. And those all take more material and more labor the more distance is involved. So if you're all in the same square mile, like an inner city, you get a lot of people on the same pipe, so it's cheaper, right? Cheaper project. But if you have one community out at 4 o'clock and you have one community out at 11 o'clock and one community out at 3 o'clock, because they're all different suburbs, you have to specifically put in a lot of electric poles and sewage pipes and rip up the roads and replace the roads in all these different directions. And it's like 6 times more pipe and pole and all the rest, right? So it's more expensive per project. It's also more expensive per person because there's a lot of people in the middle. There's not as many people out because there's less dense. So basically, when you talk about taxes are done per person. So per person you pay in the middle of the city, fine, but per person out in the suburbs, that means you're not paying for all that pipe. Who's paying for it? Well, it's getting distributed out through all the people, not throughout all the land. So if you own an acre parcel versus someone who owns like 700 square feet, you're not paying for how much land you take up or require. You're paying per person. So basically, that is a subsidy. That is a transfer of wealth from poorer people to richer people. And it's like built into the system in every city. So that's the second half of the 20th century. And it was just like, why isn't this obvious to people? That's infuriating, as I said. So what else did I have? Same views as strong towns, Reist, Rhodes, and Ponzi scheme. Yes, but also because the city-county costs go up with land development going up, tax should also go up with land size, not number of people. For example, high density of people is high efficiency services. Low density of people in the suburbs is low efficiency services. So if you want to bring it back to efficiency, we can do that. That's the use case. I don't know if that's the proper terminology, but I shared that on my YouTube posts, I believe. So if you're curious about that, you can go to my channel page and in the posts tab, I share things that I think are really interesting, and definitely share Justine's video on that. So that's posts. And then I put in a little bit of like washi tape. This is a new one that I got. I also put in scrap paper, just doodling stuff. I really like the washi tape. I got it from a store that just opened that is actually a really old card company called Allport Editions, but they recently opened a retail store in Portland. I thought that's cool. But what was weird, what's upside down? Oh, so as a right-hander, I pull the washi tape out with my right hand. The roll is in my left. When I do that and stick it on the page directly, it's upside down. You see that? The flowers are upside down. So I was like, that's a design thing. Oh, well, they must have had a left-handed designer or someone in engineering who didn't check with operations. I don't know. Anyway, I thought that was funny. Let's see, catching up. We have the ant slurry with sugar, borax, and water on a plate. They get drunk, bring it back to their nest, deals with it from the source. And that's what the ant traps are supposed to do. I'm sure that's what's in there. You have to keep everything in the fridge or it gets overrun, everything in sealed containers. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like what people have talked about with It's not crickets. What's the thing that gets into sugar in pantries and rice? It's like is it moths? Is that pantry moths? People will have like sealed containers and they still get in somehow. And you're like, our council chairman's name is Cox, and he sure does live up to it. Oh dear. All right. We have over an acre of stolen land. And the machine works as intended. Yeah, that's why we got to transform the system. Let it die. Celebrate its death. Hospice modernity. And then start picking up projects the way we want to see the world change. Tian, oh my goodness, I found 3 old postcards in a book. One looks like an ad, so meh, but the other 2 are of a library a few towns over. One more modern day, one 50 years ago or more. In a book you bought that are not your postcards? So you just got like vintage written postcards or unwritten? Interesting. That's fun. Julie says, interesting about the poor in the inner city paying a subsidy that allows the wealthy to live in the suburbs. Yeah, interesting. That's why we should change our development patterns and abandon all those roads that go to nowhere or where there aren't a lot of people, let's say. So if you want to stay in your bunker and be nice and protected with all your guns, you can stay there. You can upkeep your road as well. Tan says, I don't know why that came to mind, but now you all know. That's nice. Put laurel leaves and rice, etc., to get no creeps in it. Laurel leaves. Is that the same as bay? I think we call bay laurel. We call them bay leaves. Unwritten blank postcards in a book I thrifted. Who knows when? That's right. Book cataloging. That's so fun. Okay, well, it's almost an hour, so I'm just going to make this a little glimpse. That was my commonplace book, and I'll continue with my current reads and watches. But it's separate from this, right? So planner journal and commonplace book, that's where I'm keeping ideas and things that I come across. And I go, oh, how interesting. I think that relates to this, or I'm going to ponder that for a while and come back to it. Whereas my planner journal is like date specific. So I've got little mini calendars, and then I do some little decorative things. And I have all the events and like lots of stickers to just make me keep going. Thoughts, story ideas, all the random things throughout. But where this turned into a bit more maximalist was, let's see, about May? Yeah, end of April. I was feeling down, and so I started just making it very colorful and very involved and trying to fill all the space and not be concerned about, I think it's perfectionism, but it's more like this has to be this or I'll never find it, or, indexing. And I did tip-ins, which is basically adding a page with tape, some pretty tape. And I used a lot more stickers and, just like putting in plans. So I was getting more into this. So I picked up a book that had journal layout ideas, and I thought I might as well, in for a penny, in for a pound, jump into this rabbit hole. And then we got more in-depth stuff here. 36 miles in a week. That's pretty good. Another tip in. I tried to do a little pocket, but it's not staying very well. This tape varies in quality, I suppose. So I got the book with the layouts, and I've been using some of those, and I've thought about using them for the next book. I'm trying to go through and audit this one. That pocket worked a bit better. These are like letters to myself. It's kind of fun. And the cool thing, I think it's cool, is that I got this idea because someone told me to use in a video the business envelopes that have a window that is clear plastic. And so basically you just take it off of the envelope and it's a little small pocket. So junk journaling. So it's a planner journal, but it's also a junk journal, sort of, because I'm using all sorts of paper scraps that I keep and little meaningful things. Heat waves, gotta document those heat waves, and trying to do creative things with lettering and success, stuck it to the man. You got to take your wins when you can. That Tasman is when I just noted, oh yeah, I should check the parts per million. 430. I saw someone a long time ago say we should say not the year we were born in, but the parts per million measurement in the year we were born. And I was like, oh man, that's a solar plexus type of hit, you know? Oof. So this year we're at 430, averaging carbon dioxide equivalent. Tried to experiment with some new stuff and tried to do some meal planning. So I had like this for a habit tracker, and then where's the meal planning piece? Oh, there's another habit tracker. I tried doing a circle one because I thought that was cool. I don't have anything that was easy to make a circle with, so I just like eyeballed it. Yeah. I actually went to Goodwill to see if I could find a compass. There's me trying to do doodles of like outfits. And I found a compass. How wild is that? I went to Goodwill, not Goodwill, William Temple Thrift Store, because they're great. And in their random bin above cards, I found a compass. It's a plastic one with a pencil, but it works great. It works fine. So I was pretty chuffed about that. What else? There it is. So that's where I started doing meal planning, and I was doing removable stickies because I'm going to think of a dish and plan for it on this day, and it's probably not going to be done on that day. Like, whatever. It never turns out to be that way. But trying to move towards like cooking something new or something intentionally healthy once a day, whether that's lunch or dinner or dessert, because dessert can be healthy. Say I. Got a brain dump section I added in there in the inner fold. I have a whole notes section in this one about the astrology forecast from Renee. So that was fun, just like thinking about it. Ooh, and I got a patch. So like a Girl Scout patch, I got a sticker for going backpacking because I carried the watermelon as a Dirty Dancing reference. So I'm finishing up August here, and there's my next circle tracker. It's like its own page. Going through August with that. Future log. I started a couple new things. I started something called a therapy box. So if I'm thinking of something that's like, my own self ideation or therapy things to talk about, I put a box in there. I also got another idea from someone that was like a stressor log. I need to go back to see what else she put in the categories, but it was like, what caused it? How long did it last? How did I address it? Kind of thing, which should help process things better. And I thought, oh, that's a good idea, but I need to go back and get the other categories because I don't remember them. So yeah, so I ended up at the end here experimenting with layouts. So I had some ideas from the layout book by Helen Colebrook, and she's amazing. She has a channel, Helen Colebrook, and it's great. She just did her first video back without a wig because she went through a cancer journey last year and this year, and so she had been wearing wigs because she had lost all her hair. She just had her first one with her new short hair that is all gray, and like, you know, she was being brave and coming out on video with the new look. And so she's great. So I liked her book. I found it in Powell's, and then I subscribed to the channel, and you should all check her out if you're interested in journaling. She's got a lovely relaxing voice and a lot of cool ideas, and is a really neat artist if you like watching other people doodle and watercolor and stuff. She's really talented. So then I had Helen Colebrook stuff, and then I saw when I was Googling on YouTube some things for layouts and whatever, I saw Joshi Corinne. She's a New Zealand journal YouTuber, and she had a whole list. It just came up in like a maybe it wasn't a search. Maybe it was just like an algorithm one. But she had 70 ideas for your planner layouts. And it was all sorts of things. Flip outs at the beginning that you can flip out and like see on any page to help you with like different things. Monthly challenges that change habit menu. So if you want to exercise, but you don't want to do the same thing every time, what are like 6 different exercises you can go, no. Oh, that one sounds good. Have a menu. Just like cool ideas for motivation and reflection, goal mind mapping, a meal planning dashboard. So yeah, that's where I saw the stressor log idea. So I wrote down all those ideas, and then I sort of noodled on them and thought about, well, how could I combine that, or where would that go? And I was really struggling with where should things go at the beginning. But someone else who I did not subscribe to had the advice that you should, to set up your new planner, put everything on sticky notes first and then put it in a drawer and then come back to it and go, oh, okay, this isn't what I wanted. Because your brain will think, oh, this is the way it will be. Think about what they don't like about that while you're on something else. And then when you come back to it, it'll be more obvious. So it's the same type of journal. It's just a different color. This is lobster, by the way. It's like lobster red. It's fun. But yeah, so I put sticky notes, and then I had my, goal mind mapping things that should this go here? Should this go here? Should this go here? It's a 2-page spread. Just doing that. And then I did like September to start, because this is going to be my new thing for September. And it's changing it up quite a bit. So I don't know how much, it's like an extra page for every week. And maybe I won't have to have as many like brainstorm empty pages. I don't know. So yeah, so that is what I've been working on, like putting my mental cognitive abilities toward, and I'm enjoying trying to think about it, which is good. So that's the new journal. That's the sticker I'm going with for 2026 going into 2027. Support emojis in the comments if you like. Let's see. Bay leaves, bay laurel. Okay, yeah, same thing. Mike says one of the funniest things about buying secondhand books is the strange stuff you find in them. And I love when bookstores will post, not paraphernalia, what do they call it? Not juvenilia. There's a word for it that I can't remember, but they will post like on a cork board all the weirdest or coolest things that they found in books, which is fun. Yeah, Cat Paw agrees. I found a flower too, which stained the interior pages, but it's a poetry book, so it's fitting. I like that. Love a journal. Also, sperm whale spotted. Oh, nice. I just figured it was a whale. I have a bunch of stickers that are like naturalism themed. And it doesn't come with an explanation. It's just random Victorian illustrations. Beautiful journals. Well, thank you. They can appear very chaotic and maybe hard to index, but I enjoy going through them. So maybe that's more of the point for this. Could give a seatbelt to the one with the floppy paper. Tape on either side with a thin strip of paper or ribbon over top holding it in. Tape on either side. Oh! I tried putting tape on the bottom, and I think I didn't leave enough room before I had words at the bottom, so I didn't want to cover the words. It won't stay down. But what's funny is I have a picture frame that I put a print in from an old magazine, and I have it over by my secretary desk. And it's not big. It's like a 9x11, but it's leaning forward. So what I did was I gave it a seatbelt. I put a ribbon across the top, and I put pins on either side so that it's like one of these for the picture frame. And it's not like a headband. It's like right at the top, so you can't really tell. But I just think I'm a genius for thinking of that. Tasman says, circle, habit breaker, fascinating idea. Habit tracker, sorry, not habit breaker. Freudian slip. Tan says, I'm on some people's stressors logs. There are many junk journal YouTube channels, but I think you might go down a rabbit hole there. Totally. And I think junk journaling, if it has a channel of its own, is not really for planning purposes. So I could definitely get away from my original purpose. So I want to use scraps that I've saved, but for decorative purposes, for functional things. Like if I'm doing a title page, or if I'm doing like a reflection page, I'll use it to decorate, but it's not just a junk journal. Yay! Happy Friday, Eloise. I just heard that the Amtrak service from Portland to Seattle is going to be interrupted for the foreseeable future because of the lovely fire we had right here in Northwest Portland, which is an old abandoned warehouse that has been a landmark for over 100 years, called the Centennial Mills, and it burned on Sunday. And I could see the smoke from where I am. So yeah, in case you're getting on an Amtrak anytime soon. So many fun ideas for journaling. Yes. And yay, seatbelts. Yes, that's fun. That is fun. All right, so that was my little foray into journaling land. You know, some people have whole channels set up about this, but I thought about doing like a journal focused stream, but I'm not really ready to showcase because I haven't figured it out yet. They're still at like possibility phase. And also, I'm not sure how to tackle an overhead shot. These people who do these channels have like fingernail polish and nice hands and talk with their hands. And actually, I find the talking with hands kind of annoying. So not really my vibe. So we'll have to figure out some other way to share journals. I guess I could just open them, but the other possibility is that we just work on them in our own workspaces together. And it's like parallel play, which is also a fun idea. All right. So I'm going to be hopping off too. Thanks for coming in, Tasman. Nice to see you. This is the book that I'm currently reading that I just got into. I don't know if it's YA. It might be. I paid too much for it. It's a hardcover. I got it at half price books. It's still under $10, but Elaine would look at this and be aghast. But it's good. I got drawn in immediately. It's a dual perspective fantasy real world. I think it's like Sleeping Beauty. So reinterpreted. Yeah, just took my attention right away. So I think it'll be a good one. Bridget Kemmerer, haven't read her before. So anyway, that is our Friday today. I don't know what we'll be doing next week. That's life right now. I'm hoping it won't be as hot, but I think it might be as hot. But maybe the smoke will clear out. So we'll have one fewer thing. Cross your fingers for Bean and me and the ants. And good luck to you out there with your water and your council members and all that. Yeah. Don't worry about the fingernails. Just have good lighting, audio, and video. Well, I don't really have that either. I have one ring light and the camera on my laptop and the microphone on my laptop. So that's all we're working with here. There's no mystery. All right. Well, happy Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. Take care and happy reading. Oh, no. Yes. You have to go back to editing now. Yes. Good luck. A PNW scream into a void later. Yeah. Just note the beginning to the description below. Louise is probably feeling some of that too. All right, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. Happy reading or escapism. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.